just as long as everyone's ready, I'm happy to kick us off.
I'm ready, baby.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Cool. Okay. Well, welcome everyone to my stream and everyone else's stream that's involved here, and obviously we're going to have our first of hopefully many discussions about sort of the LCP, the regions surrounding the LCP, and I think it's a really good opportunity for myself, who is the caster, the play-by-play caster, as well as the host for the LCP English, to sort of talk to and discuss with the co-streamers around in the English scene about what we're witnessing, sort of the rise of some teams, the rise of some players, the faults of some teams, what we expect from especially Oceania, considering the state that our region is in specifically, talk about the fans and just everything surrounding really the region. First of all, of course, I want to give everyone an opportunity to introduce themselves. Ultimately, if anyone wants to start, I guess we'll just, Logan, if you want to start, introduce yourself, and we'll sort of go around and have some exposure to each other's communities.
Sounds great. Hi, hey, and g'day. My name is Logan. All the guys, gals, and non-binary pals. I've had a great and wonderful time zone. I stream League, WoW, and a bunch of other stuff, including Magic the Gathering. And I am one of your English LCP co-streamers, along with everybody else here in this call. And as Vestion touched on, we'll be talking all things LCP, macro level, micro level, teams, players, our hopes, our dreams, our opinions, and things we do and don't like, I presume. And hopefully every one of you that's watching also wants to talk about it, and feel free to ask questions. A couple of us are monitoring all of the chats as well, and more than happy to bring those questions up or even try and answer them as we're typing. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Oh, and I'm old, so move on.
Not the only one in this call, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Tama, if you wanna go next, feel free.
Sure. Hi guys, I'm Tamaro Tamagotchi. I've been live streaming for like 5 years as of this year, and my community doesn't know heaps about League of Legends actually. So I've been really trying to like teach and coach people into learning about League of Legends, which has been really fun. I think it's a hard game to get into, so if there are people that have beginner questions like what are the towers, what are you doing in this game, that's been what I've been walking people through, which has been great. And I don't know what else there is to say. Let me see. Normally I do variety streams, so it can be League of Legends or something else on any other day. Yeah, it's very fun. And I'm young. I don't know why we're putting that at, I don't know why we're putting that at, I don't know why we're putting that at the end of our thing. Yeah, I'm old.
What's the cutoff for old and what's the cutoff for young?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Look, I'm 37, all right? Like,
Yeah, you are old.
Are you actually?
yeah.
Yeah, you're old.
Wow.
Don't look a day over 20, mate. You
No, that
don't
doesn't
look a
mean
day
you're
over
old.
20.
That doesn't
the
mean you're
hair?
old. You just don't look over like 30 to me. Like you don't.
Yeah,
you
don't look a day over 37 to me.
You're like a fine cheese. A little bit stinky, but we still love you.
It goes well with
Awesome.
grapes.
Yeah. Well, Pike, if you want to go next. feel
Oh
free.
yeah, I can do that. Look, I'll start off with the old how Pike does start a stream. We put the hat on. Guys, my name's Pike. PikeOnAir, some of you might know me. I'm a League of Legends content creator here in Oceania, plus a commentator as well. So I'm a pro League of Legends commentator, play-by-play caster. Me and Vestion have done quite a few gigs together. We've had a blast doing every single one. I've been streaming for 9, almost 10 years now, just vibing out in the community, but having a blast. Obviously, like Logan and everyone else here, I'm a content creator with the LCP, co-streamer. We're just here to vibe, man. That's just what I do. I'm just here for good times, good laughs, and just to see where I go. Now, I don't know what the age... We talked about the age bracket. I'm going to say I'm middle-aged. Like, I'm not 37, but I'm not like 12. So it's like there's a good difference, right?
Oh, we don't have any 12-year-olds here. Okay.
We don't know, man. Internet's a scary
Allegedly.
place. Yes. But no, I'm
You
30.
can't be on this platform and be 12.
All right,
That's
well,
13. plus.
16.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the youngest you are. If you're anything below 16, fetus. But that's me.
Wow.
Anything
Big
below
fall.
18, fetus.
Yeah,
Correct.
It feels that way these days. Why not? If you wanna go next, I think many people, especially in Oceania, will know of you.
Hello, I am Why Not. I'm I guess, previous pro player and kind of in the lull, obviously, as we don't really have much of a scene right now in Oceania. I've played at the PCS playoffs twice when Oceania used to qualify through PCS playoffs. So I've gone to Taiwan and played over there. Pro player, challenger, jungler. Played this game for more of my life than I haven't played this game for. I realized recently. It was a rough realization.
Wild.
Yeah, and just the Oceanic Esports fan in general. Play a lot of games at like high levels, and just I'm a big fan of League of Legends. That's me.
Awesome, thank you, Wano. And saving the worst for last, of course, KMT Lol or Kevin.
I was gonna say like, well, I guess we're saying the best for last because CFO's the best, but best is still my joke. Hi, I'm Kevin. KMT. I co-stream LCP, PCS, LGL, and VCS. I do APAC just because I started out in Japan in LGL, so and then I moved to PCS, and now I'm in LCP. So yeah, why not? Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. He's also part of CFO. I think is
Yeah,
also
oh yeah.
important.
Disclaimer: I am a part of CFO, so
Okay.
they do pay me money. So when I am glazing them, keep in mind that they are paying for me to glaze them.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
always like, you know.
It is an inevitability that he's going to glaze them.
I want to know his rates. How many dollars per glazing, or do you get like 6 donuts per one? Like,
I mean, it was expensive back when they sucked, but now that they're cheap, I glaze them for pretty much nothing, dude. Like
Damn.
after
Nice.
watching them destroy Talon and Vikings, I mean, dude, I don't know. Like, wouldn't you want to glaze them?
yes.
You are eating good right now. I'll be entirely honest. But with that, I think a good way to start, as you sort of touched on CFO and their wins up against Talon and Vikings, is I wanted to start with sort of an overview of what's happened so far. I know the weekend just gone. A lot of people, especially, wouldn't have been able to see it because they would have been watching things like the IEM. And so, sort of just a rundown of the split. I'm going to have it here on our on the Games of Legends, but basically, pretty comfortably at the top at the moment are GARM and CFO. And I wanted to ask you guys, if any of you, I guess we'll start with Kevin. What are your opinions on the current looks at the standings? Because obviously, I think everyone will be of the opinion that CFO are pretty clearly the best team. But would you say GARM is the next one below them? Do you think other teams like is SoftBank too low in the standings? Things like this.
Oh, I mean, just to talk about like the top 5. I feel like there's a top 5 and bottom 3. And yeah, CFO's looking really good. I really thought Vikings might be the second best team in the league, but after yesterday's game against CFO, I don't know anymore. I'm not too sure. And like GAM, I thought they would be the 4th best team, but right now they're looking pretty good. So we'll see. I think that the next match will be really hype. CFO's schedule is really rough. It's like top 3 all at once.
Yeah, but I mean, you've already taken down 2 of them, so it's a pretty decent start in that regard. Logan, yourself, do you have any opinions on sort of the current looking at the standings from what you've seen throughout the games?
I mean, frankly, it's not too dissimilar from Split 1 already so far. We've got the strong contenders toward the top, and we've got the weakest of the group toward the bottom. As much as I hate to call Chiefs weakest, being, a big fan of theirs, Australian and all that sort of jazz. But frankly, GAM is exactly where I expected them to be. I watched them back in the VCS. I watched them, I think it was MSI or Worlds last year. And I just love how down and dirty they get when they're fighting. 4v5, 3v5, they don't care. They'll take you and they'll come out on top sometimes. So I think GAM are right where they belong, and they're probably a really strong contender.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty fair. I think as well, to sort of add on to what you said, and someone feel free to also add in if you have opinions, but I think coming into the league, most people would have been of the opinion the top 3 teams coming in are probably just CFO, GARM, and Talon, and our first split really showed a different look, right? Because it was quite clear that it was CFO, Vikings, and Talon, which I think was pretty surprising. Feel free to anyone if anyone has opinions on that.
No,
It's an open floor.
It's actually really funny how you said that as well, because I've been a big fan of the Vikings and the Whales too, surprisingly. So to see them in like the middle of the pack is kind of interesting. But again, when you talked about like the rostering and not the rostering, the actual ranking right now, I actually think it is a clear 1, 4, and 3. In my opinion, I actually think CFO's just in a different league right now. I think that international stage experience they got and how far they actually went in first stand is just solidified something in their mind. They're just primed and ready to go. So I think this MSI is just so in their hands. And again, I could be talking a big game, but they're not slowing down. They're losing that 1 game to Talon, which is the second favorite. Like, I don't know, they're looking strong, but I think the next 4 off that, they're in their own sort of bracket in my opinion. And again, I'm a Chiefs fan too, but I think they are down in that bracket. But what I have noticed overall is all the teams have leveled up. It's not just the top teams that have leveled up. Every team's leveled up. We've seen a win out of Chiefs. They haven't taken a series, but they've taken a win. Like, we're starting to see these teams actually push their technology in how they actually play. And that's the difference between an LCP versus like an LCK, is we're starting to build that identity.
Yeah, absolutely. And why not yourself as well? Do you have any sort of opinions on where the teams are stacking up. I know you were at the IEM, so you might not have been able to really catch the second week, but just any opinions, I guess, off the first week or what you did see of the second week?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still pretty aware of the standings and how teams look and how they match up against each other, and I think it's probably a bit too early to really define like Oysters as being in a league of their own. I definitely think they're the strongest team at the moment for sure, but I think if we're actually looking at how many games have been played, right, we've got 2 series per team, and like realistically speaking, Talon and Oysters at the top. I think GAM are very, very, very strong roster. I think the Vietnamese teams, like the VCS teams and the PCS teams previously are very strong, and I think it's very obvious to see that the Japanese, like the LJL teams and the single O's team quite near the bottom. And I don't expect that to change throughout the split. I think that O's best chance is taking the games off the LJL teams. I think the Vietnamese teams are very strong as well. I think Wales, again, they are very strong. Obviously, they've dropped the game, but like, you know, let's be real. We're 2 games in. We're gonna see a lot of mix-ups. I don't really think they're middle of the pack. I think they will end up top 3, top 4, maybe. Which I guess puts them, you know, if they're 4th, it puts them more in the middle. But I definitely think Oysters, Talon leading, and then just the VCS teams kind of up there contesting those spots, while LJL and O's kind of right at the bottom.
Yeah, I think it's sort of what happened in Split 1, and so far how the split started here, it looks very similar. Even, you know, Chiefs got their 1 win last split, it was against DFM. They've done the same here. So in terms of that scoreline, it is still the same. But that sort of brings me to the second thing I want to talk about, and we all sort of touched on it, that CFO are pretty clearly at the top, and it is Talon that are, you know, naturally almost leading them, trailing them very slightly. What do you think it's going to take for other teams like GARM, like Vikings, Team Secret Wales, to be able to catch up, to contest with CFO and like be able to actually contest for that sort of first place position?
I think it's a really good question. Obviously, something would be good to change, right? We don't want just a flat-out repeat of last split. Obviously, last split was a pretty big surprise with Oysters coming out so decisively on top. And obviously, we had a banger game to start the split with. But I think what would really elevate them, it's not just about, you know, their internal stuff and their players and that kind of stuff. I think a massive aspect, in my experience, from you know, watching and scrimming versus the VCS teams is really like meta shifts. I think like they really value certain metas which align with the players, right? They've always had their own meta. They've always had this, like, I don't know, fetish for Nocturne and like certain champions and certain drafts, and they've actually like managed to force that on other teams as well. Like there's a lot more Nocturne picked in this and banned in this league than other leagues, and I think that's a really interesting strength from the teams. But I think something like an aggressive, like the double marksman bot lane meta was exceptional for them. They're always very, very aggressive, very strong. So I think as meta shifts come, I think their ability to adapt and find their own place is something that's pretty unique. Whereas it feels like to me PCS tends to more kind of be a mini LPL. Like they're extremely strong and they have incredible players in their own right, but they don't really define their own meta or their own strength. Whereas I think Vietnam has always done that, and I think that's probably what's going to be, you know, needing to happen for them to try and claim a top spot this split.
Yeah, absolutely. And Pike, do you have any sort of opinions on that? What you think other teams can do to start improving to get to that point where they can viably contest CFO?
Look, the big thing that I've noticed, right, is we're starting to copy a bit of metas from other regions, right? Like we actually saw, the best example I can give is Chiefs running the Aurora into Rumble. We've started seeing that in like LCK. Like there are these unique picks that you can start bringing to the table. I think if we want to start standing at or pushing the limits, you might even say, Vestion, is start picking things that maybe aren't necessarily as like OP, but can shake things up. And that's exactly what Winer said, is that double range bot lane can change a game if it's done well. Like maybe chuck a Tristana in the mid just to see how it's going to fare. We're seeing Gallios so much. We're seeing this very strong tank meta. It makes sense to be like, all right, let's try and flip the script and see what we can do. I think just trying to first pick Varus or Kalista every game is just not really what we need to start doing. I think we need to start mixing things up and trying things a little bit unique to really set ourselves apart and push the limits of the higher teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one thing we've always seen as well internationally, to sort of back up your point, is like quite often, you know, these international tournaments, you get an NA team up against like an LPL team, and it's like, okay, the LPL team's just going to win. But then like FlyQuest, for example, you know, they started bringing out the Nunu, the Ivern, things like this, that there just isn't that much practice again. And you've had the practice, they haven't. You can start to find sort of avenues in each and every game and series like that. Tama, do you have any opinions of your own regarding this sort of point?
I've had only one thought in my mind, and that is, if I don't see a Chiefs win, I quit being an LCP, streamer. It's
Yeah.
gonna be this season. Sorry, I don't mean. At the most basic level, I haven't loved some of the picks that have come out. Like in terms, I mean, I've actually done a little bit of competitive play, very minor, like, but I know how hard it is. When the ban phase is coming in and everyone's trying to pick something and create like the team to win it all. Some of the things I've seen, I just think like automatically cause people's defeat. There was a specific Yone pick that I didn't think was. I don't know. Did you guys see the game recently? He went like. It was a really rough time for that.
Look, Yone's never a bad pick. As someone who, look, let's not worry about
He's
it.
gonna recover.
Yeah.
Hey,
Look, okay.
I'm not here to rank shame, but Yone's not a good pick in when you're playing Yone and Emerald. When it's you playing Yone and Emerald, it's not a good. Or Plat, it's not a good pick.
It's a bloody good time for me. I'm having a blast.
It is a fun champ. It is a fun
Hey,
champ.
we're not saying that Chiefs is having we're not saying they're having a good time or not a good time. I think we're saying how they're performing.
If they're not having a good time, they need to reconsider. Because if I was on that stage, win or loss, I'd be... Well, actually, loss would be pretty rough. But win or loss, and win especially, I'd have a blast.
For sure. I think it always comes down to sort of fan reaction, is how emotions are usually throttled, right? And I think for Split 2 so far, everything's been fine. The tail end of Split 1 was a bit rough, and there was some negative sentiment you'd see online, but I think so far doing admirably. Obviously, we didn't get to Logan yet, but Logan, did you see anything sort of in these games that you would see, like, just a random example, like Team Secret Wales, what they could do? Obviously, they've already started off very well, but what do you think they could do to find another win against CFO? Because they're the only ones to do it this year.
I know you've asked me a very pointed question. What can Team Secret Wales do to get a win against CFO?
That was just an example, but yeah, sorry.
But using them as an example, it's going to be very, very difficult, right? Because I think a lot of teams are seeing the success of 6-player teams as well. LCK's got them, LCP's got multiple 6-player teams, and I can't speak to other regions, but it feels like this is something that's being adopted and picked up, and it's allowing these teams flexibility, and it's harder to practice into them and know what the picks are going to be and the bans you need to put against that team, right? CFO, Rest and Driver, both of them generally run very different top laners and each have their own unique style. I remember there was a quote coming out of First Stand. I think it was Zayas himself who said that it was hard to fight against 2 different top laners because they each had different styles and different champs, right? And they didn't play the same champs that other people would the same way that they would. So it's that kind of flexibility. I think teams need to be ready to be agile and adapt around these 6-player teams as well.
Yeah, especially in Fearless Draft, it really helps with sort of having that extended champion pool in your lanes. And I guess we still got to ask Kevin, but we're going to have to sort of reverse the question because he's not going to want to see teams catch up to CFO. So in your case, Kevin, what do you think is required for CFO to not plateau, right? Like the hard thing when you're at the top is to keep getting better and better, because if you slow down and then very quickly Talon catches up and Vikings and Garm and everyone starts catching up. So what do you think is required of your first squad to be able to continue their growth and continue getting better to then challenge people like Hanwha Life internationally?
Oh, okay, Hanwha. That's gonna be tough, but I feel like right now we're just focusing on ourselves. Like the reason why I think CFO is doing really well is like I feel like we have a good mix of like Eastern and Western mindsets. Because like if you look at LTA, LEC, and like compare that to like LPL, LCK, I feel like they have different ways of drafting, and I feel like the way CFO drafts is like kind of different compared to both sides. It's like a little mix of both, where we are willing to pick meta champions. Like if Gwen's meta, like obviously we'll just first pick it every time. But if like even then like we still pick like maybe things that people wouldn't consider as really good. So I feel like our drafting strategy is just like really solid right now, and we do have like weird games like game 2 where you have like a for fun moment where we're just like running it down even though we were winning, but I feel like that's to be expected when you're like so far ahead. The hardest part is to like remain, humble and like willing to like, keep improving. But so far watching scrims and stuff, like we do scrim pretty strong opponents, so we are getting humbled at home, so hopefully when we're humbled here and we go to the stage and play, we carry that humble this forward and don't get too cocky.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, as you said, it's very. I mean, it's okay. You're always going to make mistakes, right? CFO's never going to be the perfect team, and so far the only mistake they had made, which was up against Talon, who I think everyone would realistically say is the second best team in the region currently. And if you do make those mistakes and it's against Talon, you're probably going to get punished. But I mean, so far I think pretty all right for CFO. Started off with the two hardest opponents probably, and took the win off both of them pretty cleanly.
Yeah, I do want to jump in and say, like, I want us to, like, all acknowledge that, like, Talon is historically just the best team in the region, right? It's not just about, like, CFO's the best team now, like it's now everyone catching up to them. It's like they've had a good break, they've had a good, like, you know, year and a bit, and they've performed incredibly well, and they're an amazingly strong team, and I think they are currently stronger. But, like, nothing's stopping Talon from just, like, bouncing back to better form, I don't know, adjusting what they currently have and taking over. And I think I'm really enjoying seeing CFO's dominance currently. And I think having that as the first game of the split and having such a cool series was, like, amazing. But, yeah, I really don't want to just phrase it as, like, other teams catching up. Because I think, much like Kevin said as well, teams are also needing to focus on themselves. Like, ultimately, it's not about, like, just looking at the next team up, because being positioned where they are, right, and, like, being able to scrim such an absurd variety of teams and regions, it's very different. Like, these teams are scrimming, you know, LCK CL, they're scrimming LCK Academy teams, right? They're potentially even scrimming some of the lower tier LCK teams, maybe not, but, like, they usually almost never scrim internally. They might even be scrimming, like, some of the top teams in the local regions if they feel like it's necessary. So it's not like a direct comparison like it was always in OS, right, where you could only scrim against the other teams in the region and there's no one else to look for, and it's kind of that direct competitiveness. I think their ability to just simply work on themselves and kind of get around their opposition, I think is really, really important and, like, needs to be stressed.
Yeah, I think the saddest, well, not the saddest thing for me, but the interesting thing for me is so much of Talon's success over the past 2 years can be attributed almost to Junja just completely smurfing at key moments, and now it's CFO with Junja, and he's doing the exact same thing but to Talon. So it's kind of like, is it just that this guy runs the region? Because at the moment it does somewhat seem like it. Obviously, it's not a one-man team, but definitely is a very, very good player. And sort of on that note, sort of transitioning me to the next point is, who are, and I guess you can go for each team, or you can just go for just the league as a whole. It might be multiple people from one team, but for each of you, who do you think has been sort of that standout player, the star player? I mean, Honkyu's an obvious choice, being his age and how well he's doing. But sort of each of you, do you have an opinion on maybe a less than common opinion on who the star players are in each roster, or just the league in general? We'll start with you, Pike.
Look, straight up, like, I had to think about this. When we were talking about it, I was like, who have I really seen step up? Honestly, I'm calling out Doggo. Man, CFO's 80 carry has just been shining. Even in first stand, he was shining. He was getting caught up in, like, this guy's just absolutely insane. He feels like he's playing in a slightly different tier again. Like, as someone who does play a bit of 80 carry, like, I'm watching this guy and he's just crushing everything. Like, you can look at his stats and he's just having the best time. His Ezreal's on par. Like, his Jinx is always bloody good, but it just feels like he can be a bit versatile with it too. So I'm excited to see what he's going to bring further, because I think he is one of the best 80 carries probably in the world in like a competitive stage, just for, or at least if you compare each region, he's definitely one of the best. Look, I'm calling that up because I'm a believer of this league, man. I'm a believer. There's a lot of good 80 carries out there.
I think he's one of the best in this league, but
that's, well, yeah, I had to say that too.
And the worldwide talk is.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. There are some bloody good 80 carries out there. I'm not gonna lie, but I just think Doggo has the potential to reach that tier 2 with the right competition.
Yeah, I mean, he previously played in LPL, right? Like, previously played for Up, because I remember it was so funny. He played for Ultra Prime in LPL, and it was the funniest name because his name was Up Doggo.
Yeah, and he played Ramus. He played Ramus.
Yes, the Ramus Yumi game is an infamous. I remember watching that live and just thinking, what am I watching?
It did not go well. Do not try that one at home.
He's definitely improved since then.
Yeah. I mean, he was. Yeah, I don't know. They lost their mind.
He's wealthier since then, I'm sure.
Yeah, the Ramus Yumi is crazy work. Why not? I mean, who would you have sort of as your star of the league, or star of?
Yeah, I mean, you obviously have like clear breakouts like Honkyu, but I think there's also some unsung heroes on teams. Like, even if they're acknowledged in general, I mean, obviously it's one of the main storylines and fan favorites would be just like Levi still fucking playing. Like, I don't get it, man. This guy is like This guy's almost as old as you, Logan, and he's still putting up numbers. Which is it's crazy. I mean,
That's not fair.
the funniest thing is, right, is like some of the super old OS players, right? Again, most of you guys might even not know who like Juves is, for example, right? But like a very
I do.
iconic
Yeah.
jungle or like even person in the industry, you know, he moved on to be coaching and that kind of stuff, and he like back then he used to play against Levi, right? Levi was like the guy back then, and now Juves is like, you know, out of the industry, you know, it's 9 years on or so, and Levi is still playing and he's still competing in this league, which is crazy to think about, you know. So Levi, I think obviously Woody, I think most of the supports kind of agreed that he's the best support in the league, but I think like Woody looked so good even in the series that they lost, you know, against Oysters. I think Woody just showed up and just clearly looked like one of the strongest players there was. I also think Secret Wales, I haven't watched too much of him this split, but I think last split especially, I think Taki was like really good. Like insanely surprised me, like how strong of a support he was and how much I think he made that team actually tick. Because on paper, like some of the Vietnamese teams, they don't actually have like 5 standout players. It's just simply how they play as a team actually like enables them to do that. But there usually is like one or so player that just makes that mesh and makes that happen. Yeah, and I think that definitely it was cool seeing it coming from the support position of Taki, especially when that roster is so young. Like I looked recently and I was like, his toes like 2007, you know.
Yeah.
And I was considered a pretty young player, and I'm a 2002. You know, I'm getting older now slowly. But that guy's like that guy's 2007. You know. And
You're
that's
the same
wild.
age as me. You're still young.
Yeah,
You're
you're
still
both
young.
ancient.
There we
We're
go.
both basically nearing on retirement at this point. I guess Logan, yourself, do you have any sort of players in the league that you've like been keeping a sharp eye on that you think have been really impressive?
Yeah, look, frankly, I want to agree with Why Not on Taki in Split 1. He was absolutely a standout for me as well. Like, blew me away. I'd never seen him before, and then I was watching him play, and I'm like, holy, like, this kid built diff. I want to call out Lou on Split 2 for Chiefs. I feel like he's improved.
He has,
I was devastated watching them in Split 1. I'm like, please, and then Split 2, it's like, wow, they've put in the work, and he's so much better. But I'm actually, and not to glaze too hard because they're the winning team, but I'm actually a really big fan of the Driver Rest duo. I do really like the synergy that they have, and Driver is just, I don't know, he's an explosive top laner to me. If you, and I don't want to go into too many stats, but you look at his stats, he literally has the highest KDA in the league, which is wild for a top laner. So it's hard to question his impact in a game when he is playing. And frankly, Driver has a fan in me as well.
Yeah, he did a good job at MSI of creating some fans there with his dances. Something that he always does in the LCP, carried it over there. That's always good.
Yeah,
his little dances.
I do want to jump in with one more player as well that
Sure.
I had written down for to mention. Obviously, we'll probably cover it much more in depth later when we talk about Chiefs, but I think Husha's had a massive impact just like in the first few games he's played.
No,
Like,
you
it's
stole
So
mine.
good.
okay, I'll drop it. I won't say. I won't say.
It's okay. It's okay. Keep going. It's
No,
alright.
all yours, all yours.
He deserves everything.
I was gonna ask Tama next, and I had an inkling we might just receive 5 Chief player names. So Tama,
Okay.
hit us with it.
So I'm only gonna give you 2.
Okay. Who we got?
And I was actually, look, I know that Chiefs haven't been winning games, but I'm pretty sure Jimmy won both of the 1v1s to get us like prior. I thought that was
like
impressive.
8-0 right now. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
in 1v1s.
And the last one that I watched was particularly impressive because I don't even remember who he was up against. I think it was Set versus
He was set versus Yasuo, if I remember.
Yasuo, and it was just so, at the end there, it was just looking like. I think if there were a few missed abilities, and then suddenly we like. Anyway, I thought that was impressive that he managed to secure that at the end there.
I don't want to give you the Doom perspective really quick on the 1v1s, but like I think I could be wrong here, but I think obviously teams prioritize like because they can only pick a champion once, I believe, right? So generally they'll pick the strongest 1v1 champions against the teams they really want to secure like side priority against, right? And probably for most teams, Chiefs is at the bottom of the list. Like they don't really care too much about side priority as much. So they probably don't prioritize.
The picks are easier for them, yeah.
So they don't prioritize like picking the stronger 1v1 champions to secure the side against Chiefs. Whereas, you know, they said that for the better teams that they see as more of a threat. So
I
we're probably
agree.
getting the easier end of the stick. Yeah,
That's
But
true.
at
He
the
did win
same
the
time-
Yasuo 1v1. The head to
it's
head.
true. It's true. The mirror was
yeah.
very fun to watch.
At the same time, I think that like mechanically, people are quite comfortable with like Yasuo has been in for a while, you know. Like people have
Oh no,
definitely.
they're
I
very good at
think
these
in terms
champions.
of that, I know he's not necessarily like one of the stronger ones. I would say that was more what it was. What's impressive to me is like when you've played a champion for so long that you've, you know, gone through every possible scenario, but you still. Yeah, I guess the Yasuo 1v1
Oh
matchup
no,
is probably the
he's
biggest
performing
mention,
he's performing really good. I'm just kind of being doomer and just saying like the other teams probably don't care as much
My-
about that
my
series
chat-
than others.
Yeah.
My chat saying, no way is he saying Yasuo is a bad 1v1 champ. That's not what he's saying, guys.
No.
Oh,
No,
I mean, genuinely though, like Set wins the matchup in general, and like compared to other champions like Darius or like champions where you can just brute force the win relatively easily, they are probably saving those picks for other matchups.
And some small things, small mentions, special mentions. Don't know who played the Glizzy dog, but it was my first time seeing the Glizzy skin.
Oh, Guri.
The
It was
And it was,
Guri.
I just, and I
It was
could not
Guri.
believe. Oh, actually, I think Guri.
Yeah.
I was having a great time with Guri in that. And
Yeah, he
secondly,
popped off.
yeah, that was really cool, Guri. I think, yeah. And secondly, I saw somebody place a control ward on the Thresh hook.
Oh,
thing
the
anyway.
yes,
Lantern
And
pit,
I
yeah.
had never seen it
Dragon pits.
before, and I was
Yes.
just like, "What?
It was
This
so
is so cool!"
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, it's one thing to know that you can do it, but it's another thing to remember in that split second that you've got and put it down and just like completely deny somebody what they're supposed to have. You know what I mean? You're supposed to be able to get out. That's supposed to be our 100% done deal. You know, and it was exciting. It was very exciting. I was
For
happy
sure.
to see that. I'm gonna
Your
use that
little-
one day. Somebody's gonna pay with what I've learned. It's so exciting.
Especially when
Yeah.
you're like, if you're the support with your like small item and you have 3 or 4 wards and you just spam them all down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a few clips like this historically. It's not uncommon,
Yeah,
but it
the
was
dragon
very
fight.
cool seeing it. I remember the dragon.
Yeah.
It was part of the dragon pit. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, just to see it in this kind of play is like very exciting. I
For sure.
will have to be back in 30 seconds, boys and girls.
No worries.
So, is it just boys? I don't know.
Yes.
Boys and
Yeah,
girls,
basically,
for everybody.
right?
Yeah.
I'll be back
No
very
worries.
shortly.
All good. All right, Kevin. You're not allowed to
Dude,
say any
I'm
CFO
so
players.
sad, man. Like, you guys talked about every single team in the league except for any LGL team, dude.
No, see,
region
mine
is
one.
just
My one's an
fucked, dude.
LJL one.
Oh,
My one's
really? Because I
Aria.
was like,
yeah, mine's Aria. Except this
okay,
split
then
has
I'm
been a
thinking the
bit
same
weak,
thing
but-
then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me why
Aria-
Arya's the greatest mid laner.
Well, other than this split, he's been a bit quiet, admittedly. Part of that is because in the Chief Series, his whole team played really well, which we weren't used to from Split 1. But Split 1, the only time DFM did a single thing ever was if Arya was 1v9ing the game.
Sure.
Even in their losses, he was like really fed, almost in a position to be able to actually get it across. And I personally thought he was probably the 3rd best mid laner in the league in Split 1, despite the fact that
Wow.
obviously they ended up coming 7th. I think Arya played out of his mind
Yeah.
the whole split, but just like there was a substantial gap between, especially the bot lane, where Kakun had just freshly gone to the AD carry position, and it was clear with like the fundamentals of AD carry had changed, especially in Split 1, because the lane swaps were really weird. Like there was never ever your normal lane swaps where it's just a 2v1 the whole time, and then you eventually go join your team, and there was never a 2v2.
Yeah.
So I think it was getting really dizzy from that, and it led them to just always being like 3k gold behind despite nothing happening. But I think Arya, despite all of that, was just always playing out of his mind, and so I think he's been not so much in Split 2, admittedly, but in the LCP in general, he's been a standout player.
I think I just struggled to look at the LGL players and talk about it because the majority of the LGL players are just pretty like old guard. You know, they're pretty like ancient in terms of they've been established for a while. There were a few newer ones, but it's more just like the formula of few Korean imports, old guards, and then see what happens. So I haven't really seen them make the difference, but I definitely agree with the Arya callouts.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I
Alright,
think
Kevin,
Chiefs
no
would have won if it
CFO.
wasn't for Arya, dude. Arya's just like really good. Like
Yeah.
DFM just lives and dies by Arya. Like when Arya just loses late, the game's over. Like there's no point watching because no one else can step up. Like yeah, like other people did well in like the Chiefs matchup, but I really think if Arya wasn't on that team, they would lose to Chiefs as well. Like that's just how that's why I think Arya is like top 2 like mid laner in the
you're saying we
region.
need to remove Arya from the league, is what you're telling us.
Yes,
Yeah.
if Chiefs figures out a way to remove Arya,
Ah.
then Chiefs will move up a rank. I'm just letting you guys know how you guys can improve.
Hey, thanks. That's so kind of you. That was really generous. Thanks, Kevin.
Did we
Maybe
call
a little bit
another
of food
region?
poisoning for legal reasons as a joke, you know, or maybe like, hey man, you should walk over there, like, hey, check out that alleyway. For legal reasons, that is also a joke. I'm just saying, you know, like, maybe for next split.
Food
For next
poisoning.
split, that's gonna be a thing.
Possibly.
I don't know. How else can Chiefs win? Dude, that match, man, it still tilts me this day. I
Yeah.
never want to see that in Italy, dude. Oh, it's like haunting my dreams. I had a nightmare
my
of nearly
God.
just throwing spears
I know
at
what
me,
you
and I was
mean,
like,
I
oh,
saw
stop
it.
with the toothpicks. It doesn't hurt. You're just annoying. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
done playing Chiefs. I just had to get it out there.
Yeah, no, Kevin actually, for context, is always supporting the Chiefs unless they're against CFO. But he's not quite as big of a fan as Mr. Steak, but no one is. But he is always supporting the Chiefs, and unfortunately, not yet to get the win. But Violet did assure me in our interview that they are going to get one, so it is coming. It is coming. And I guess on that note, we should probably talk about the Chiefs. Kevin thinks the only way we can get a win is by eliminating Arya from the league. I feel like there's other ways, and I think Husha
I mean, there's
especially.
SoftBank coming up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, SoftBank's their last game of the split, so that's a while away. But up until then, I think like the hard thing, the thing that's really difficult, I think, for Chiefs to navigate is the language barrier, and it wouldn't have been so bad in Split 1 because Mia has a good understanding of English, and Luon, I don't know about his English, but I imagine it's reasonably okay just because in Korea you generally learn English going through school. But Husha, from my knowledge, doesn't speak much English. Jimmian has a basic sort of understanding of League of Legends English through his time in NA. So I think it's going to be a pretty hard task to try and play these games where sort of your support and jungle don't speak the same language. Your mid and jungle do, but then the rest of the team also can't understand it. So I think that's going to be hard to navigate, but if they can, Husha is so talented, he can almost certainly lead them to at least one series win.
Yeah. That's
open
where
table.
that's where my mind was instantly going though. Is like if Chiefs want to get that win, it needs to be Jimmian and Husha getting everything given to them. Just let them carry the game, give them all the tools. They can do it. They could probably 2v8. They can get it done. That's not to say that the other players aren't able to get them there, but we know the win con. I think Chiefs need to start playing a little bit stronger to that win con.
Oh, I disagree, you see. I think, like, Husha's transformed the team with just how comfortable they feel going for things. I think that Jimmian was, like, held back a lot by Mira. I think he played horribly split one. And I'm happy to see Husha stepping up and they're making the proactive choice to change it out. And I think we've seen that at least in the first series. I haven't seen the second series properly. But yeah, I think it changes how they look for things. I think playing over there and experiencing that, one of the biggest differences between the regions and players is simply like how we play around objectives, right? How often we're seeing objective fights, how often we contest objectives or on the backside of objectives, how we look to take fights. Like very often in these top teams, you'll see, I think we saw it in CFO versus Talon especially, there was like some grubs fights, right? Where they just like lost the actual grubs to Talon and then CFO comes and just cleans them up. And like the way they play those fights and the way that they actually take them is just different to how other regions would do it. And they just end up netting 4 kills where if Chiefs were in the same situation, they would net 0 and maybe even lose the fight. And I think seeing how Husha's been able to kind of, I don't know, maybe Husha and Jimmy combined, they know how to take those fights. They know how to actually call to play those objectives and to play those objective fights. And I think that's what transforms it much more than any amount of individual skill. While they are good, I think Violet's more than capable mechanically. I think Zoranus, obviously, coming to play more of these, I don't know, more volatile top laners, arranged top laners. Bio obviously had some great games, split one. I really don't think it's mechanical ability that's making them level the team up, even though obviously they're very mechanically competent. I think it's just the ability and confidence to take fights that Oceanic players are unwilling and unfamiliar with taking. And I think that's what's really going to help them win games.
Yeah, sure.
I think Husha's a huge game changer. Like, I think he's so good. And, like, if you watch Chiefs versus DFM game 1, like Husha and
Yeah.
Luan together, like I feel like the mid jungle was like the biggest gap. Like they just completely controlled the
Luan
map.
played so well.
Yeah, Luan, I thought
Yeah.
those two were like so good together, and I was like, oh, okay, because it's like they don't speak the same language. So I was like, why are they on the same page? It felt like for like most of the objectives they were playing. So I think that as long as they can get past all that, play together as a unit, like if Husha and Luan get better and better together, like I think Husha's a huge pickup.
Yeah.
And I think, Violet, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with him, but he looks fine. I think he'll be just as good as Limas, right? I don't think that'll be a huge difference. I think Husha's the big game changer on that team.
Yep.
Tama, this is your time. You're an avid Chiefs fan. Unleash. Let out everything you want about the Chiefs, all of the positives, all the negatives, whatever you may have built up.
Okay. Sorry.
We've got to prepare ourselves.
But where to start?
Okay, so I don't know what I can expose. All right, I just want to say I'm really proud of Chiefs for not eating McDonald's before their games this time. I'm really proud of them. They actually balanced their diet out. Look, I'm sorry, they used to have a bit of a lucky McDonald's before they went to the matches. I'm outing them. Okay? But I heard that they had well-balanced, dieted meals this time. It was fantastic.
Okay.
Secondly, I thought Violet was like so cool in the first game, and I just feel like I'm waiting for Violet to come back, and I don't know where he is right now. I'm curious what happened in that interview that you mentioned. If you're allowed to talk about that, would you be able to say some things that Violet talked about with you?
It was on the broadcast. Yeah, he was just saying like, I just asked him basically how he felt after the first game he played. Obviously, it was his first time in Taipei playing, and he was saying it felt good to win. He was upset a little bit about how he played, which is pretty crazy to me considering how he finished that game. But he was just saying that he didn't go over to Taipei to lose. He's come to win, and he's guaranteeing they're going to at least get a series win, basically.
Okay. Yeah. No, I like that. I like hearing that from our players. That's exactly what I want to be hearing.
We should execute if we don't. We should just trial by fire, just guillotine all fire. I think that would motivate. I mean, to be honest, like, how much more motivated would you be if you knew you would not live after? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think
The Hunger Games.
I think that might be a bit far. That might.
No, I'm not saying we do it. I'm
You
just
know
saying.
what? I just want to personally say.
I think it would be very effective.
Yeah,
I just want to personally say that I don't know how motivated enslaved people are, and I'm never going to try and assume that. Thank you.
I'm saying they're enslaved. It's like motivation.
What do you
We could
mean?
just
If they lose and they
Kings
die,
doesn't until morale improves.
that's slavery right there. That's not nice.
I mean,
They work right. No,
Kevin's all
okay.
for it. That's how CFO's operating.
In the almost words.
Oh!
it is.
Right,
It is.
they work.
Trash,
They work
dude.
like a dog day and night to play League of Legends.
I mean, it'll work,
Okay.
right? You know.
Okay,
Why is it
anyways,
annoying?
I know, I think that they're working hard enough, alright? I think they're working hard enough. I don't think that they need death as an incentive, okay? They're doing fine. They just...
They definitely have
I
leveled
like
up.
it. Would you say about the same about CFO? I don't think that they're gonna do any better if death is on the line, okay? It's not nice.
I think that'd work twice. I think that'd clock in 2 times as many hours. I think that they would have.
CFO practices quite a lot, so I don't know. Like we practice like 12 to 14 hours a day.
And
like
more
6 days a
importantly,
week.
we don't need to do
Or
that
5
for them
days.
as well because they're performing currently, so they have no need for the death penalty.
Alrighty.
This is a crazy topic.
Alright, I just want to say,
I don't
moving
think
on. Look at him walking away. He's like, no. Okay. I actually really like some of the new people that have come in, alright? Like, I'm actually very impressed with the picks so far, and I feel like, I think that they might need some more time to work together before they actually pull off, like, what we're looking for. So I think it might be a few more weeks before we actually see our first proper win. But I'm also worried that they're going to be stacked up against even like more difficult matchups and teams that are just going to put them in the ground. So I'm just praying right now that we get some like mid-level matchups, and hopefully they can take them and bring all the aggression that they possibly can towards those players, just like Violet said in the interview, that they wanted to win one. So Yeah.
Not that they wanted, they're going to win.
Al-
one.
Al-
Well,
Logan,
yeah.
have you got something special? Have you got
Yeah.
something special to say?
I
'Cause
just want to
still-
quickly say, Chiefs'
this.
schedule is really rough until
Yeah.
week
Yeah.
6.
Yep.
Yep.
So
That's
as
yeah.
long as they don't just mentally boom and find the balcony, I feel like as long as they keep it together for the next 2 weeks, everything will be fine. Just gotta keep it together. Just don't
I
cry
think-
too hard. That's Chiefs' goal
These new
for the next 3
players-
weeks.
These new players, they didn't come in thinking that every single game they would be able to like carry. It's got to become a synchronized effort. Okay, I know that all of us here have probably, no matter what skill level, have tried to carry a game with 1 or 2 people. You get into ranked with your friend, and you try and you try and try. It doesn't work. Okay, I mean, it can, but it doesn't work. It has to be a full team effort with competent people
What have you been
working
trying?
together.
Yeah, Kevin does the opposite.
I just wrote
Oh
that.
my god.
I
And-
typed like
yeah.
a warrior.
And I really expect, I just really expect a lot more from them, and yeah.
For sure.
Otherwise, just like Collingwood, I'm gonna switch teams.
Well, you can't be doing that. Well,
When
there's
I was
no
younger,
host team over there. We got Ground Zero in the PCS, of course, but you know, in
Look,
terms
if
of
somebody
LCP,
likes CFO, I can turn.
I'm just saying, if you need a new team, this one seems to be doing well. It feels really nice, you know. Like I
Kevin,
feel
you're
really
pissing
happy.
me off, bud. You're pissing me off, Kevin.
You know what I did? I switched from Collingwood to Bulldogs, and then they won like the next year. It was wild.
I don't
It
watch
could be
sport.
CFO.
Yeah, sport.
Either way,
Yeah.
What?
you get okay. Collingwood lost for like 11 years. I don't know, 15
Collingwood?
years.
Is this like a it's like theme
It's
park
an AFL
or
team. Okay.
like?
Are you
In
Are
this
you
house,
on
we only watch
Australian?
esport. All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay?
You've lost
Yeah.
us.
Is
all.
this
Alright,
is this like an MMO or like what is
I
this
think so.
like?
It's the new RuneScape.
Yeah, Collingwood.
Bro, I have no idea what we're yapping about right now. But Logan still needs to give us his opinions on the Chiefs.
Yeah.
We need to get to Logan's
Okay,
opinions on the Chiefs. He's been
I'll keep
eager
it-
to tell us.
I'll keep it succinct. Big fan of the Chiefs. I'll always barrack for the Chiefs, even against CFO. Even though I know we're probably going to get stomped. For me, in the LCP, it goes Chiefs, GAM, and then CFO in terms of favorites. Chiefs split 1 versus Chiefs split 2. They're a completely different team already. I was so impressed with that 1 win that they did get. It was the biggest win that they've had so far in the LCP. It was so convincing. Dare I, huff the hopium a little too much. It really did give me hope that the Chiefs will get like a series win this split. And as we say, we've been talking about what can they do to improve, what can they do to get better, overcome those language barriers, all that sort of thing. I almost think you said it, Vestion, because I was watching when I wasn't co-streaming the other night. The language barrier almost doesn't matter. If Husha takes the lead in jungle, the rest of the Chiefs will follow him around the map. And if he's initiating, like Wynot was saying, like initiating these fights really well, playing around the objectives smartly, and the rest of the Chiefs follow the leader, that language barrier is really going to be significantly reduced. And I hope to see that. And as was alluded to earlier, Luon plus Husha together, Jesus Christ. Like,
Yeah.
Luon was out of control, Husha was out of control in that game. And our losses, I think more importantly, weren't as big losses as they were in Split 1. There was still sparks of something there. They held on, like, I forget which game it was, I think it was week 1. And in the third game, the first like 20 minutes, it was just like really slow, methodical, measured gameplay from both teams. And Chiefs were only maybe 600 to 1,000 gold out. And then suddenly one team fight happened and it blew it wide open, which maybe that hid that the Chiefs weren't doing so well. But from my perspective, I thought it was a much better loss than they had had in previous splits.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even, against Talon was the most impressive, even though they end up losing. The game 1 was very, very clean for the most part, and it was one single mistake that just flipped the game and ended it immediately. But the fact that they were doing that well for the sort of length of time that they were is just a testament to how they've grown between the 2 splits. So I definitely agree with what you've said.
Yeah,
I believe.
I want to touch on like the Logan as well. I think this language barrier is a different every thing when it comes to some imports, and it definitely matters to the degree, right? For example, when it comes to like Lima's Luon, perhaps as well, right? Like there might be a larger gap there because Luon's previously only played with Korean AD carries. Even when he was in Europe, he moved over to Europe with his like his duo AD carry. But when it comes to like initiation, that kind of thing, you're kind of right on the mark when it comes to like I've played with Daystar, I played with Korean Impulse as well. Genuinely, like they just say fighting, fighting, and you just say it back, and then you just have a team fight, and it's great. I think it matters a lot more when it comes to team improvement and like discussion, right? It can be very hard to like get across points as a team. Like for example, if Luon needed to work on something, right, and he didn't have the strongest English, and the coaches struggled to, get him that concept. Potentially, he might just say yes, yes, okay, okay, and like they'll smile and they'll nod, but they won't actually get it.
Yeah.
So I think the hardest part is when it comes to the coaching side of things. But as a player, you're kind of right. The game is a language. So I think you're kind of right on there as well. I think Poltron also confirmed that there's not much of a issue with Husha, and obviously now the fact that we have a matching mid jungle in terms of nationality or previous history, they probably both speak Mandarin.
Sure.
Both played PCS. It's a lot less of an issue than when it was like a Korean plus Jimmian.
For sure. And I mean, the next thing I want to talk about, and Kevin might not know a whole lot about this, but he could possibly sort of compare it to the current state of LJL, is what do you think is going to happen for OS? Because we know one thing's for sure, there's going to be some form of qualifier to get into the relegation tournament. But going forward and even looking past that, what do we hope sort of is able to happen here in OS? Do we want another LCO, something like that? And how do we think that could ever happen? I guess why not, being that you've had experience there in the league, and Pike as well, obviously as a commentator caster. What are your opinions, and what do you hope to see?
In regards to like what exactly with the
So like
region?
going forward, what would we like to see in OS? Like just sort of grassroots tournaments? Because I'm kind of the opinion that some grassroots tournaments, but that have Riot backing, would be a good way to go.
I mean,
sort of like
okay.
season 3 days.
The second the developer kind of gets out of the region, it becomes very hard because someone
Mhm.
else has to take up the mantle, right? And then, you need passionate players, and I think we have that to an extent. But I think that for the players who are this is my sound a bit harsh, but for the good players, right? There isn't much reason to play. So the players that are coming up, who are obviously elite from like a normal level, but really do like lack any experience and lack a lot of actual. It's like comparing, I don't know, the Chiefs to CFO or Talon, like when you have players who just have no real reason to play. Like I'll use myself as an example, right? With this tournament that's currently being run by Scott, right? I believe it's in your Discord, and I think you might have something to do with it as well. It has a lot of cool players, a lot of good things. It's an incredible thing to run, but frankly speaking, like the level and like the actual gameplay of it is very weak, even for our region. Like if me and then a few other people who haven't even played necessarily that seriously in like a year or so, if we put together a team, like we'd win with ease, and we have no reason to even put a team in, even though like we could have put a team in, and we could have. It kind of means our level ultimately isn't the highest. So maybe it's a problem with like individuals. Like maybe I'm part of the problem. Maybe I should be playing these tournaments. But frankly, like there's not a reason for the time investment for me right now. So it's really hard, ultimately it's just like, I think it's a thing that's put on individuals more now. Like an individual who really wants to make it has to find a way to make it, and that is very hard. That would have to be like, obviously challenges obvious thing, but like you'd have to be rank 1, multiple accounts, top 10 potentially, have a way to get your gameplay out, have a social media presence, have a Twitch presence, make it so obvious that you're a player worth even attempting to look at, and then finding opportunity overseas to actually then start progressing. That would be your avenue, but as a group it's very hard.
So
I just want to add that like that's not easy for somebody who. And look, there's a lot of players in these leagues that I've seen so far that are like 17. And that's obviously not a problem because
100%.
they're ready, right? But it's I mean, what, having a presence like that at 17, getting yourself together to do all that, even I wouldn't have been able to do that. And I've been very interested in doing like modeling and doing all kinds of things, right? So I've got like musical theater background and dancing background and media background, and I still wouldn't have been able to like coordinate myself like that back then. So that's just like, it's a very
I mean, the younger player you are,
sure.
the younger player you are, the easier it is for people to invest in you in that sense.
Yeah.
If you get rank 1 and you're 16 and that gets out kind of thing, teams will look at you. I'd say it's even harder when you get older. It's not about like the ability to do it. It's the time and the investment, right? Like I'm 22 now, right? I played professional for a few years. I was on the top team for a few years. Went overseas. I've bootcamped myself in Korea. I have a lot of all this kind of worldwide connections. But frankly, like I'm working a real job now, you know, a real job, like quote unquote. But like I'm working a normie job now, and there's no. Even if I invested all my time now into doing it and I made it overseas, like I'm not even necessarily like willing right now to move overseas.
Yeah.
I think kind of the older you get, the more things potentially can tie you down, or you know, reality. You know, you're living out of house, you're renting, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a weird thing where it's interesting to see your perspective of these younger players have to step it up and do it, which is hard. But then I see it the other way around, where it's more like the older you get, the harder it is to get looked at, and the more real things you have to deal with to even get a chance.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Yeah.
It's actually sort of like, as Wynot said, the opposite in esports, where if you are younger, it's a lot easier because generally you're still living at home, so you're not having to worry about the burdens of, you know, regular life. Plus, like, if you are standing out as a rookie, you get noticed just because of how young you are. Like, because you are so young, people are much more likely to notice you than if you're 22 years old and all of a sudden you become really good. People just don't care as much because it's not as impressive that a 22-year-old is rank 1 in Korea. It's much more impressive when they're 17, just as like a headline almost.
Well, we're talking Korean, man. Those players.
No, I'm just saying it as
I know, but those players, I'm being serious. Those players get scouted at 12, 13 years old now. Like the T1 Academy trials thing, they do a call out, right? Like anyone wants to try for T1 and stuff, and it's like your birth year has to be like 2010, and you know what I mean? Like to even enter, it's that level of obsession.
That is true.
I feel like that. I won't talk about how that's damaging to someone's childhood, but I think like at the end of the day, it's a bit on both sides. Like it's difficult for I guess since it's an underage person, I'll just say a child, or to like live, to figure out their dreams and to go towards them. On that side, I think it's difficult, like being able to realize your dreams and make that happen. And on the other side, being like 22, 23, I'm in a position now where I kind of know what my dreams are. Maybe not everyone does, but being able to build up that presence, you're right. That technically is harder because you have to work out so many things just to get noticed because your age is like going down the drain apparently. I think both sides are just like really difficult.
I mean, you have to be the top 0.001% of people at the end of the day.
What side you might have been on? Is that person?
Oh yeah, for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I've been Challenger, which I mean, you play League, so Challenger, like back then it was top 200, but Challenger since 15 or so. So I've actually Challenger since 15. I won Academy at 17. Started playing on like main teams at like kind of 18, 19ish. Right. So which again, but the weird thing is, right? The weird thing is that once I turned like 18, I felt I was getting old. I actually felt like
so rough,
because I look down, I'm like, okay, this kid is 16 from again not within the region, more like overseas, right? But it's very rough mentally, and it was a weird thing to think about. I'm not disagreeing with you when you said it was hard as younger, but I found it very interesting that I never even thought of that perspective, which is a very normal perspective to look at, right? Just thinking like, wow, a young player has to do all this. But in reality, I think it's so easy because like, I think when you're younger, you're so single-minded about like, this is what I want to do. I just want to play games. I'm good at this game. It's all I care about, and your life becomes around that. Like you don't even have anything else to worry about. And a lot of these kids do get stunted in some capacity. Like I was in the generation just after gaming houses in Oceania because it was post-COVID, so it moved more online. So I missed out on that whole experience. But I'm sure if I moved into a gaming house at 17, I mean, I think I personally would have been fine. But I can see a lot of people kind of are stunted when it comes to basic life stuff. You know, even things like laundry or like cooking for yourself or any sort of financial
normal life knowledge.
Literally, just the most normal life stuff that any idiot can do if they're in normal life, and this elite pro gamer just can't do. There used to be a very funny thread called Gamer Tweets by Shakurez on Twitter, like Renato. He was a LEC content guy. He used to just like take tweets that people like tweeted out about like esports stuff that was just hilarious as fuck. That was just basic everyday stuff that like gamers just make a tweet about, and it's just so hilarious to look at. Things like ramming the shower rail like through the curtain instead of like threading it on with like the circles that it just goes over. Like they just couldn't figure it out, so they just literally slid it through. And
Nice.
just absolutely stupid stuff, and he used to have this whole thing, and it's so true though. It's very true.
Yeah.
It's wild
Alright.
how some people are
Oh.
more gentle with their keyboard than they are like with the expensive stuff. And
Yeah,
I
well,
know
I mean,
that
that's-
keyboards
that's
are
the-
expensive.
They have
But,
no
like-
respect for him.
That's their way to make money as well. So it's like it's it's important. But we got to get other people's opinions really quickly. Pike, obviously you were involved in the LCO, so I
Yep.
want to hear
Oh,
sort of
I
your
gotta get
thoughts on-
going. PCS is starting. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries, Kevin. No worries.
I'm gonna hop out, but thanks everyone. Take care.
Bye, Kevin.
No worries.
Peace.
Bye, Kevin.
All right. So, pro leagues in Oceania is coming back to the full circle of the conversation. Will there be a pro league in the future? Like, my hopes are pretty high, considering I have been privy to conversations with some correct people. I've been hearing conversation. I've been seeing what businesses are trying to do. Is there something coming? I can't say yes. I can't say no either. So I think,
you just
like,
are you saying yes with an asterisk of I can't say yes?
I'm just saying, I'm saying neither.
Yeah.
I
What?
think what he's saying is that there's talk about it. Some people might be doing something about it,
Correct.
but we don't
I-
know if they're doing the something or if the something's going through yet, so we can't talk about it.
Yeah.
That's
We don't
correct.
know.
Okay, but more like, what is your hopes for it? Is
What are my
the point.
hopes?
It doesn't matter what
Well,
you've heard or whatever. What
like-
would you hope?
Well, of course I
occurs?
want a pro league in OST. Like, we're a region of
Yeah.
it itself. Of course we want a league. Like, we had the backing. We had a bunch of community members wanting to see it. There's still players out there. Maybe they're not, why not? But there are players out there who do want to go and play these games and enter into tournaments. Like, I know a bunch of people ask me, Pike, why don't you do a tournament? And I said, I'm pretty busy, so no thank you. But that's the whole point, right? Is there is a need and there is a want for it. I see it every day when I stream because I get high elo players coming in telling me, I'd love to do something more. I'd love to put a team together. I'd like to do this. I think, yeah, the sad part is OS is just in a real dire state of so much ego. Nothing's actually happening. What can we do from that? It's just, so my hope is, yes, I want there to be a pro league because then I can cast that pro league and then I can do what I love doing, which is making the league sound and look fucking phenomenal. That's all I care about. Like, I just want us to see us do well. I want to see us have something that leads from high school to intervarsity, into a pro league, into LCP, or even pro league into PCS, into LCP. I don't even care what that format looks like, but we need to start getting younger players joining so that they can have something to strive for. That's what I hope for.
I mean, it also looks at you have to look at Riot for that as well. Like, are the
Yeah.
younger players that are playing like is it the same vibe? Again, I think if you're the same age as me, Tamagotchi, I assume. Oh, what
Yeah.
What year did you graduate high school?
Only God knows.
Mine was 2015,
know.
if that matters.
I don't even 2019. 2020?
Yeah, I mean, like when I was in intermediate school, like kids played around me. There weren't a lot, but a few kids played around me. When I was in high school, a lot of kids played, but most of the younger years, I didn't see that many people playing League. At least again within
Yeah.
Australia, New Zealand, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are the players we're looking at, right? Like, you're not going to convince a random single person. You know, it's not common that a random single person is going to just be like, oh, I want to go really far with this. Compared to like if everyone in their cohorts play in the game, and it's a very common thing to play a lot. And you know, in that case, it becomes much more of an accepted or understood or supported thing to be able to do that. But we're not getting that with new generations within Oceania, as my belief.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same thought. Well, quickly, we need to hear from Logan as well. So let Logan say his piece of what he would like to see, sort of in terms of Oceanic League of Legends, if they're grassroots tournaments, actual full-on tournaments, or what it may be.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's already touched on pretty much everything. I myself have hosted a couple of League of Legends tournaments, like back in 23, 22. They were international, they were really good fun, and every time I played them, the demand for them was overwhelming, right? So I feel like the energy is there, but I can't obviously speak to the youthfulness of them or the quality of skill, but there is that passion for that game and the tournament scene, I believe. What I feel like I'm doing, or what even we can do as LCP co-streamers, is work to build the community and get more people involved. One of my things that I do is I host watch parties. LCO Split 1, LCO Split 2, hosted watch parties. LCP Split 1, I've hosted one. I've even got flyers just here, ready to go. And we're working on graphics for LCP Split 2. Right, like watch parties.
Very cool.
bring the community together, and celebrate the game that we all love together, and show Riot that the passion is there, that the people are there, and that we, to put it in CS2 terms, we want a major or MSI
Yeah.
Worlds or First Stand, you know? Like, yeah, just
Yeah.
show the passion, bring the community together, and lift one another up around League rather than drag each other down. It's not a rat race. It's a marathon.
For sure.
Preach.
And Tatma, you wanted to say something, sorry?
At the
Before-
risk of, I'm not trying to self-advertise here, so I won't talk too much about it. I just wanted to say that, like,
Definitely do it.
for university, I was in like a team, and that team it was like a women / like gender fluid kind of league, right? So it was mostly like it wasn't anyway. It got like removed at the start of this year, and there was talk about a new tournament that was gonna happen with Monash University.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, like, absolutely not. I'm taking this into my own hands. So I actually started working on making my own tournament, which would be like an open div for any gender kind of thing that's going to be running. So we'll have signups in May, and then in June it'll be on. It was going to be May that we're playing, but it's too soon. And actually, it's a completely non-for-profit thing that's going to be with a beautiful charity named Bernardo's. So that'll be cool. I just personally was so angry that like there wasn't enough support to keep what I enjoyed, and also like a lot of people were disappointed, so we started making our own group chats and making our own things, and it's just developed into something really cool. There's a lot of demand for League of Legends tournaments, and in order to keep it kind of peaceful, I was hoping to just have it all one division, because I don't know why I would think that, but it's gonna be like Iron to Emerald and then Emerald Plus. That'll be like 2 halves, so I'll try and make it fair for people.
If I can just add, you mentioned that there wasn't support. I think the better phrasing is someone who was on the back end of knowing all that information and why it actually didn't go through. It wasn't that there wasn't support, it was the people running it were dicks. That's what it was.
Okay, I was trying not to say that.
No, I can say that because I work for them. That's fine. And if they want to get rid of me, that's fine. That's on them. But they were the downfall. It was not the people behind it, because we were fighting for it to the point where we almost got let go too, because we were fighting for it. So I don't think it's that there isn't a lack of support. I'm going to back that really hard, because I was one of those voices that was so strongly saying we need this. They pushed it. And then other people just couldn't meet their demands.
You mentioned there was going to be a uni tournament, but you said absolutely not. Was there? What was that about?
Well, no. So like, there is a tournament. I'm currently playing in it, but my team had to shell out a bit of money for it, and I wasn't happy with that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to create
an entry fee.
Yeah, I don't know how much it was. There was rumor that it was like $300, and I was like thinking that that's a lot for a university event. Just personally, I understand that there's things to cover. For me, with my event, with what I'm thinking of doing, the buy-ins would not be like that much if there was a buy-in. Yeah. And I also luckily have the support of Bernardo. So the tournament's going to be called like Hope Beyond the Rift. It's just about like, it's non-for-profit, so I'm not taking a cent. I'm just going to try and raise money for this charity that I really believe in.
Yeah.
And their slogan is like, be a champion for children. So the idea that like people can that's their slogan, by the way. That's not something that's going to be brought in, because I know League of Legends doesn't like that word. League of Legends doesn't like Riot doesn't like some of those words because in the contracts, but yeah, I think their slogan and what some League of Legends players want to do is kind of synonymous, like it's the same. Some people like, you know, want to fight and be a hero. Yeah.
Oh, very good. I mean, I hope it all goes very well, and obviously I hosted a tournament last year that Pike and Why Not were involved in as well, and I think that one went really, really well.
Did.
You don't have to be humble, man. You can just say I won it, yeah? You don't have to be...
Yeah, no, Why Not did win it. Why Not did win it. He had the better mid laner, happens.
It's true.
No, Kyoze was a bit of a beast, but no, yeah, I think it went really well, and I mean, you know, obviously you don't need to take advice, but my advice of sort of learning from that one and the OCC that's going on, I think is like it's really important to try and limit the size of how many teams are in it.
Yep.
Like, as much as you want to include as many people as possible,
Yeah.
it gets really, really, really messy the more teams that are involved,
Yep.
because it becomes, unless you have 8 or 16, creating a bracket becomes almost impossible, because you have to have somewhere in it some unfairness to one of the teams or another. And yeah, it's you really need to sort of make sure that
Someone's
there's a
out
sort
in
of a limit.
QUT in my chat.
Yeah,
Someone's
it's
out in
QUT. I don't know why we
We
were
all
dancing
knew.
around it. We know it's QUT.
Yeah, we
There's
all
no
knew.
other university
Yeah.
tournament. It's QUT.
I think we all knew that.
Like,
Yeah.
Even I know, and I'm probably the least in the ecosystem.
yeah, like
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we all
Right.
knew who it was.
they're not gonna get
Even the people
mad.
listening are like
I was
the people
being
that are in my
secretive.
stream. The people in my stream have probably mostly played in one of the QUT tournaments too,
Yeah.
so they're all very well aware. Yeah.
If you ever saw me play in those tournaments,
I casted you,
$100 to not tell anyone.
so she definitely played. She definitely was
I
shit.
tagged.
Damn! Damn! Holy hell!
Nah, I'm
Call
throwing
out.
shade. I'm throwing shade. You did well, actually. You
no.
did well. I do remember though.
Yeah, I mean, I guess obviously I'm trying to stay conscious of everyone's time, but I think the last thing to touch on in regards to the LCP is sort of the fans, and especially, I mean, he's been in my chat actually earlier, but Mr. Steak, and the reason why I always bring him up, and I bring him up pretty much every night on the broadcast as well, is that he is the biggest diehard Chiefs fan to start off, but even when the Chiefs aren't playing, he travels 4 hours to get there every day. So when he doesn't live in Taipei, he lives somewhere in the south.
He's the only Chiefs fan in the arena, man. I think.
No, him and Xiao. Xiao's another
we
one. But they,
we got two.
yeah. But he travels 4 hours by train to get there, and he stays overnight. But even the days that Chiefs aren't playing, he's in the crowd and he is yelling. Like every time there's a chant, he is the one starting it up, and it's like really cool to see that there are people like that in the stadium. And obviously it's very easy to see them because they come on camera, but what I really hope is that as we progress, we can somehow find a way to include more and bring in more fans through, you know, Twitch platforms, be it co-streams or the main broadcast going forward. And I think that's really important, and that's sort of part of the reason why I wanted to do this. But I guess in terms of what my question would be, sorry, is what have you liked about the fans? What have you liked about seeing the live audience, and how do you think it's shaped the difference between the split one and now mid-season?
Oh, I'll jump straight in. This was my question too. Dude, I love it, man. I love it. This is literally what OS wanted. If we had this in OS, there would be not only a bigger region here, but it would just be way more fun because the crowd interactions, it's just like what you watch when the LCK starts. You hear them doing their awesome chant and you sort of get buzzed from that in itself. And you're like, fuck yeah, this is lit. You get that now in the LCP. You get these guys out there having an absolute blast just watching these games. Man, I'm here for it. I think it's the best thing they could have done. I'm sad it wasn't their split one, but split two, it just makes the games, at least the start and the interactions all the way through, infinitely better. So I'm a huge fan. This is what esports is about. This is what we know from the IME as well, that's just recently gone by. Crowds make the game alive.
For sure.
That's it.
For sure.
Yeah, without a doubt, right? Like, I just think my favorite memories of playing pro is not like winning a qualification to something when I was, you know, at the Bliss HQ, or like playing alone. And you know, my favorite moment was just simply being on stage. And playing in front of the live audience at DreamHack and just having the ability. I mean, again, maybe it's also just me. Like, not every pro player is like this. And again, I also have a theater background and like enjoy performance and all that kind of stuff as well. Yeah, I know you said musical theater and stuff earlier, which is awesome. Yeah, like I enjoyed that. It meant a lot. Like it was so good. And I mentioned on my coaching the other day, right? Seeing people filter into the crowd and that kind of thing. Like being a pro player in that experience, like I would be so excited to have the ability to create fans. Like I think when you're in an arena like that, right? Like you have the ability to people can see you properly. People can experience your magic or view your performance. And obviously it's just a game on a screen, but you're also there physically. And I think there's so much more to it than just that. So I'm thinking about from the player perspective. I think it's an incredible opportunity, and I think it's so amazing. And I'm so glad about that change. I think from potentially a logistics standpoint, maybe it's a bit harder on the day, but obviously they'll be charging for tickets, and I think that's an exceptional idea, and I assume it's also probably relatively affordable.
Yeah,
with with the
Riot
prize
store
pool.
there as well, so the merch. I think it's a good way to monetize the thing. That
Yeah, it's a very it's good for everything, right? Like
Yeah.
teams are happy as well. Players are, hopefully should be happy. And I think obviously for fans, like it's an incredible opportunity, and no one should be unhappy about that opportunity.
Absolutely. Tama, you got much to say?
I was just having, it's a bit of a separate thought process, but I will just kind of put it out there anyways.
Sure.
I do some interviews for basketballers, and those basketballers are not going to make it into the pro leagues, and they all know it. They're into their 30s, they've got wives, they've got kids, right? So they don't have the time for going pro and doing all these things, right? But they're still good players. And these guys, whilst most of them are afraid to do their interviews, they get the chance to do interviews, and they also get the chance to have their photos taken quite professionally, and they get the whole experience, and they get glitter raining from the skies when they win their games at the finals. And I think that is the most special thing. That's what keeps the community together. And I know that the people that were responsible were resourceful enough to get their own sponsors to make it happen, to make those people feel special, right? I think it's important to make people feel special because the community is going to stay. Those basketballers are going to come back next year, and they're going to win again, and they're going to get their glitter and sparkles, If we had something like that, like, it doesn't have to all be bells, whistles, but doesn't have to be a trophy. I think it just, everybody knows that, like, that kind of glory is something that will keep people in the league, even if they're not that good of a player, right? So I think we might also need to think about opportunities where players who might not even be that good, might not even be able to get into a pro league, can also have the opportunity to feel special too, because that could help to pave the way for pro players and also pave the way for other people too, for the community to like get together and actually make something happen. It's a bit broad, it's a bit out there, but I just think we need to be making more people feel special in this scene.
You nailed it.
Underlying thing.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Logan,
And,
what have? Oh, sorry,
yeah.
sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
Carry on.
just we need to be making more people feel special. That's it. Yeah, that'll save us, I think. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Logan, what are your sort of takeaways on the viewing experience, be it online or majoritively in person, of course?
Mate, I love the arena. It was energy that was missing in Split 1, and I'm so glad it's there for Split 2. From a viewer perspective, it is now a literal goal of mine to get to the LCP arena and watch in person there. Like, the only time I've ever gone and watched a game in person was DreamHack last year when Pike was hosting on stage, shout out, and Why Not was actually gaming on stage, shout out. I actually got to watch them live do their thing, and just being a part of the crowd with the energy and the atmosphere and the cheering and screaming at these hype moments, it was like our energy fed them and their energy fed us, and it was such a awesome dynamic. And I mean, I'm fresh off the back of IEM, 1.245 million viewers worldwide. It was the first ever in Melbourne, and it was the third biggest IEM ever of all time. And the point I'm bringing this up for is the crowd. Like, there was, I don't know how many people fit in Rod Laver Arena, but whatever max capacity Rod Laver Arena was, of passionate esports fans yelling, cheering, screaming their teams on, and there's nothing else like it. And I want that for League of Legends in Australia. Like, yeah, we can go to Worlds. Yeah, we can go to MSI, which is, in Canada this year, and Worlds is in China this year. But, like, we're in Australia, we're so far removed that it's so difficult and expensive to do these things in these places. IEMs prove it can happen here in Australia. So let's try and do everything we can, obviously as individuals, but also a collective, to prove that we're worth it.
Yeah. I agree. I think realistically, first stand would be our best bet, considering it is just the smaller, less resource intensive of the internationals. But even just you get that one trial run of doing a first stand, as long as we all behave, because I know that's been one big thing that in the past IEM had a big problem was one of them. There was an IEM and everyone just started shouting out AMD or whatever the competitors. I think it's AMD, right? That every time there was an Intel advertisement, the crowd would start starting to yell AMD and stuff.
They
It's
were the
obviously like,
same this year.
oh, were they?
It
Yeah,
has not changed.
yeah.
It's,
I know that that's one thing that
That's a problem.
yeah, that's one thing that ESL expressed dissatisfaction with, and it'll play a part as to why they now don't want to be doing shows anymore in you know, Australia, which is just once again we're kind of our own worst enemy sometimes.
Yeah.
It's funny how we think that we're so funny with all these jokes we make, but then we're actually just driving business away. Like people don't realize how bad it is. That's actually
It's
And
bad.
like-
It's really
I got
bad.
a dip. I got a dip. but
Yeah,
thanks
no
for-
worries.
No, thanks, why not?
All
Thanks,
good.
man.
All good. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that I was gonna say. Sorry if you had anything else to add, but that essentially from my end wraps everything up. If you guys have anything you'd like to add, feel free to do so. Otherwise, I guess shout yourselves out. I will start, I guess, with Pike. I'll just go chronologically across my screen. But Pike, you want to shout yourself out to, you know, your socials, your Twitch, and
guys,
YouTube, and whatever.
if you aren't following already, hit that follow button. It always helps us out. But also on the talk of all this pro stuff, I run tournaments every 2-3 weeks on my own channel. It's called the Stream Slam. If you would like to come and play, if you are in Oceania and you'd like to get into some low elo, some high elo are coming very soon tournaments, they are purely for fun. They're purely to find more players to play games with. And it's to expand our community and make some cool stuff. That's the Stream Slam sign up that one of my mods has beautifully put in there. So definitely go check it out. We actually have the next Stream Slam happening this weekend, this Sunday. It's going to be lit. We always get procasters coming in. We make it fun. We make it enjoyable. So check it out. But at the same time, I've been Pike, and I'll always see you on the next adventure.
Absolutely. And Tama, you go ahead next if you'd like.
No, guys, I'm Tamara Tamagotchi, and I live stream every day with variety streams, and I hope you've had a good time. If you care about Hope Beyond the Rift and raising money for Bananos, then I guess come check out my channel, and I'll be posting some, what do I call them? Expression of interest forms for your teams. So get together a team of 5 and let us know how you can help us raise money for charity. I guess
Nice.
that's it. Maybe over to Logan.
Yeah, absolutely, Logan. If you'd like to top us off at the end here.
I can do that. Hi, hey, and g'day to all the guys, gals, non-binary pals. I have been Logan. It has been my pleasure to be a part of this LCP Round Table discussion hosted by Vestion and my fellow LCP co-streamers. I stream League, WoW, and I do a lot of Magic the Gathering, if you like that sort of stuff. I have done a bit of casting in the past, but sporadically. Pike's your man. I have done some hosting, and I love hosting League watch parties here in Melbourne. I do it every single split. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, you can find me at LHP64D on every social media platform.
I'll go to
And
that.
Yeah, once again, thank you
Good
very much, everyone.
Oh.
I have all the ats of everyone in my title, so if you want to go find them, definitely go there, chuck a follow, follow them, subscribe if you have a Prime available, of course. But thank you very much for all of you for being here. It's been great. I hope we can do something more like this in the future, and you know, branch out to other things as well if we ever have the opportunity. But once again, I think this is really healthy for the region, not only Oceania but the LCP as a whole. So once again, thank you very much, everyone.
Let's go LCP!
Are we flexing off, Logan? Is that what we're doing? Is this the flex
Yeah.
off?
Guys, I only just started going to the gym. I have my first muscle.
You did. You nailed it.
Better than me.
Thanks, guys. You have a fantastic night, y'all. I'll see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.